Why, hello everybody, welcome, my name is Rubydung, welcome to today's episode. As you can see, I'm over here in the main base. That is because I have a couple of different little chores I'm needing to do here on camera. In particular, I was doing quite a bit of stuff off camera, and I noticed I didn't just notice, this problem's been ongoing for a while, and I might as well address it on camera for once, because I think it's humorous that I probably should solve it now, I think, better than later. There's a problem involving the cows. They refuse to stay in their area. I think it's because the area is made of glass, so they keep, going through it. I'm not sure why it's this bad, but yeah. What I'm wanting to do as of right now is try to just get them all back into this little area here, but apparently a lot of them aren't going to want to pathfind to me. Come on, guys. Look at me. There we go. Now they're looking at me. But this isn't the only thing I have to show to you guys. It's just one of them. In which case, you two come up here and push you into the hole. There we go. That's one. Oh, and we got a bigger cow. Don't ask me why this is the start of today's episode. I'm just kind of wanting it to be. Oh, no, I fell down. No. No, they're all coming down this way. No. Oh, man. Well, I got a cow in. But I have a couple of other things to show. I can do that off camera. I just wanted to address that. I'm probably going to be solving that between cuts here. But another thing I also wanted to show you guys, I got a suggestion a while back, in a certain episode. I've been trying to figure out the logistics of it, and I kind of realized it's a lot easier than I think it is after I've thought about it for a little bit longer than I think I previously was. But if I come around here, I have another thing to show you guys. I have been doing a lot of work off camera, a whole bunch of work, and I am super excited to show you guys something really cool. Wither skeleton skulls. A whole bunch of them. Hoo-wee, this took a while. Oh man, this was not an easy thing to do, but I got myself a nice and a bank in total of, let's collect all that up, 15 wither skeleton skulls, which equates to 5 withers. I'm probably not going to do them all in this episode, or even all of them on camera, but I got 5 withers, which means 5 nether stars, which means 5 beacons, if I can beat them all, which I presume I will be able to. It's a matter of time for me to be able to beat them all. But another thing to show is I have been slowly gathering up tons and tons of iron, and I have enough for another beacon now, in which case I am running out of iron on this slot. And I've been trying to empty out my iron chest over here whenever I think of it. Like, I just recently emptied it, hence why there's nothing in it right now. There shouldn't be anything, yeah, there's nothing in it, period. So I've been trying to empty that out whenever I can. And I've been getting a whole bunch of iron for it. If you guys remember correctly, I used to have, barely a stack of blocks, not even, and now I have, over half this row is just, blocks, so nice little progress. Actually, no, I think that's, 2/3, yeah, 2/3 of this, row is blocks, so nice little, nope, that's the wrong chest, this is the correct one. So, probably going to be doing some work with beacons. I'm going to try to figure out if there's a way for me to incorporate beacons throughout the base. I need to do a couple of bits of testing with distances and things of the sort, so I'm trying to figure out the logistics of using a beacon throughout my base, how many I'm going to need, where I would want to put them, where to best optimize them. Because I could just put one right here, but I don't know if that would be something I want to do, and if it would look any good if I do it, so I'm going to have to figure out some logistics for that. But that's not the only thing I want to do for you guys. Several episodes back, someone gave me the suggestion back when the daylight sensors came out, these things, to try to find a way and put a kind of like day sensor throughout my base, and I've been trying to figure out logistically how I would do that, because my base wasn't designed for that, but I think that would be an interesting thing to try and do, because currently the quote-unquote most formal way to try to figure out what time it is in my world is just looking at a window. So there isn't an actual, like, clock system. So I was thinking about for a while, like, how I would want to do something like that. Would I want to make, like, a genuine clock, like an actual clock? Or would I want to, like, kind of make something like there's a little strip down this row here is going to be replaced with lanterns, maybe? And at a certain time of day they turn off or are on. But that's, like, actually fairly easy. That's much easier than I think it was going to be, because how I was initially thinking of it was, how am I going to connect, say, this tunnel all the way over to this tunnel, for example? Well, the first thought might be, well, I run it to the roof. Well, there is a bit of a problem if I run it to the roof, because if I come up here, you'll see there's a single block, and then the next floor, along with its own ceiling. So, not exactly the most acceptable to that. In which case, also, if I break through here, I can get into this so I can show you guys, yeah, there's really nothing in here. So I can just kind of put something like that in here and not have to worry about it being too badly inhibited. But I was thinking, why don't I just set up in each individual one of these little nodes here its own kind of like little system, like its own little daylight thing that will have a strip of lamps being lit down the way of this corridor. But a second problem occurs when I was thinking about that. I probably should leave that open. That's not important. But another problem occurs when I was looking back and be like, okay, how am I going to set this up? The redstone is very easy. Like, that's probably the easiest part. The hardest part is when I'm going to take a little bit of a back up and look at this. Where do I put the daylight sensor? This is a completely brick roof that is full blocks. When I was making these roofs initially, there wasn't even brick stairs or slabs. It's all full bricks. So I can't really, like, hide a daylight sensor in there because it is, well, full blocks. So if I go all the way back up to the next floor, I am trying to figure out how do I precisely set up where I would be putting that kind of thing. So, like, for example, if I come around here and break this out. So, for example, if I come inside here and just go, well, I'm just going to, like, put it here, for example. Well, it's going to be visible from the outside because there is a very definite change in elevation, because a daylight sensor, like if I break this block and put that here, that's a half a block difference. That is very noticeable, like extremely noticeable. So I can't exactly just do that. But if I were to just, like, for example, place it down here, this needs sunlight, actually. Like, this isn't just a thing that tells you the time of the day. This isn't just a clock. This has to actually access the sun. Like, I can't just put a clock down and have it be like, oh, this is going to detect when the sun's doing that. Though that would be really nice if I just have, like, I just right-click it and there's a clock placed in it, but I can't do that, so. I need to find a way to get sunlight to it. Another thing I was thinking was, if I break it like this, I was like, ooh, what if I do this instead? That's also quite noticeable. Like, no matter how I appear to kind of itch this out, it is a very extremely noticeable change. And the second hardest part about this, there is no real way to detect the signal from this thing if I do it this way. Like, I guess, theoretically, if I come around here, I don't know if it provides a power to the block below it. I'm going to try to figure that out right now that I mention it, but I don't think I can actually power it that way. Let me just come around here and grab a thing of redstone. Well, I got literally just a thing of redstone. That's nice. But I don't think it will power through the block. If it does, that would be nice and convenient. But also, I have to double check a thing to make sure that their area above it isn't being blocked out by like a farm, for example, because it might. Yes, it is. This area has a thing right above it, so I would have to move it to about here or so. Yeah, that's completely accessible to the sun. In which case, go through here. Let's test to make sure. Yep, powered by the sun. Then put that here. Yep, nope, that's not powerable. So I am not capable of getting power through this block, so I would need to do something very, very weird on how to do that. I'm not quite sure how to do this without messing up what I've already built in the base, and when it comes to like redesigning things in the base, I'm not sure how to do that. So the other idea I had was probably building a room that is like a form of clock, but I always carry this clock on me in my inventory, so I don't know how useful that would be. So, yeah, but either way, I can work on it. But the main thing I'm wanting to do now is I'm wanting to set up these beacons. Well, not the beacons themselves. I'm wanting to figure out the actual spacing idea for that beacon. So I'm going to do a very quick test, and I'm going to come back with you guys here in a second. Alright, I've done some spacing around here at the base to try to get a concept of what I would need to do in order to get this entire base covered underneath beacon coverage. Full beacon coverage, in particular for full speed 2 coverage. Technically, I could do all the beacons if I wanted to, but right now I'm going to focus on speed 2. And if I want to add more beacons in the future, I can, but this is my current plan, in which case I probably want to start in the very center block of the base. This was not the actual center of the base, but I consider it the center of the base, even though it's not. Because this is where like the main actual thing of the base is, in which case we have a couple of different little routes off. So first off, the first little route going off this direction, this will be covering the tree farm and part of the tunnel over in that direction, and it will go all the way out to this area. Now you might be wondering, ooh, this is a little far out. That is because a beacon covers a 50 block from its center. So 50 blocks that way, that way, that way, that way. So in each of the cardinal directions, and it covers a square area. So this actually makes the math a lot more easy for me because of that. So from that center block to that block is going to be 50 here, then 50 over there, and approximating the center. Then, that is going to be covering about that full area because of how that spaces out. There's also a billion mobs, so I probably don't want to be standing over in that area because that's directly above the mob farm, so that causes problems if I sleep over there. But also, there is another long platform over there that is covering that side of the villager farm and part of this tree farm. So that is another long thing. How I'm going to be doing this, by the way, is I'm probably not going to be having the beacons floating up in the air. For some of these, I'm probably just going to immerse them deep in the ground. Like for this one, might just build on the ground itself. Might build like a little small building, but like nothing too extravagant for some of these beacons. So that one's probably going to be just like a small little building containing the beacon. While something like that one's floating directly above the lake. So what I could probably do is dig directly down from where that is, build the beacon under the water, and then have the beacon beam shining up through where that space is. Because I also did some testing, the beacon has no vertical limit. The beacon can just go as high as it wants. So the lower I put that, typically the better. Next up, over in this direction, going over this tiny little bridge here. This is just a 1 block gap, but I felt so dumb for building this bridge. But as we go over this area, we'll get coverage of quite a bit more space, as you can also see over here, but I have to do a little bit extra so we get coverage all the way out to here. Once again, nothing out in this direction, but once again, for the sake of evenness, this has to be done. Then also going all the way along this side just to get more coverage in the actual villager farm and in these little tunnels that I don't use. Also to build one all the way out here, which is theoretically where I plan on expanding this base to next. I want the base going off in this direction, so this beacon's kind of marking where the base will be going in the future. So it's not, I don't feel that bad for having it be out here because I plan on using more of it here in the future, but it still feels very silly to build a beacon all the way out in that area. But as I run back around here, we're also getting partial coverage with this one in the actual gold farm, along with that area down there. Probably going to be building these as well in the water, maybe. Might build like small little offshoot buildings for them. Probably for that one, might build just a little offshoot building, but that one might be in the ground, I think is how I'm going to do that one. Might make a building for it. Unsure. I'm going to need the iron for it before I can really begin to judge that. But as I run along here and go all the way up to this area and go through here, the next one is going to be down here, in which case this one's going to be the most awkward one. I'm going to have to do something very weird for this one because the beam runs right through the rail. So this one's going to be a bit of an odd one. I never use this rail, like, ever, but it's still annoying because this is supposed to be the end gap for where my base is. I'm not going to be expanding out past this area. This is, like, kind of the stop gap of where the center base goes to, because this is supposed to be, like, a little decoratory house. So I don't really want to build, like, a little house there, so I'm going to have to build in the ground, in which case I'm going to have to find a way to build a beacon going through the rail here, which is going to be super odd, but then it's also going to ruin the decoration. So I think I might build like a little beacon here that's being suspended by like a balloon maybe. So there's going to be like a little balloon here with a beacon holding it. It's going to be very odd, but it's probably going to be the best way to kind of do the decoratory thing while still trying to keep with what I had planned for the area. Then we're running all the way out here. This is another supremely silly one, probably one of the more silly ones. Running all the way out here so I can get coverage of that little area over there. This is covering a very small portion of what I'm missing, in which case is that, like, half of that corridor and half of that thing there, along with part... Actually, no, I think the wheat farm is a part of that. So, like, that little part of the base is being covered by this beacon. So, probably one of the more silly ones, but I still find crucial to a notable degree. Then running off in this direction, we get the final beacon. So this is going to be at the very end of the line here, running past this one, boop, right there, and running over all the way to this one. This one will be covering majority of the gold farm, and will be covering the sheep and cow pens. So that is going to be another one that will be covered under this. I don't have a beacon for the villager farms yet because those aren't set up, and also I plan on doing some major redesigns because they changed how like entity babies work, and I think there's actually a better farm design that I have than what I have previously made, so probably going to rework that here in the future. But here's what I currently have, in which case I'm probably just going to make this like a little floating like buoy kind of just out in the water. So that's probably going to be what I'm doing for a couple of these designs, in which case that is 3 for this row. I think I'm going to need another 3 for the next row, and then only 2 for the final one. So that would lead up to a grand total of 8. I have wither skeletons for 5, and I have 1 more sitting around this world, which means I am 2 short. But also, there is not a world where I have enough iron for all this, but I do want to begin designing accommodations for each of these beacon areas. In particular, I want to begin setting up beacon accommodations for this area at the very center of the base and off of the lake here, because those are probably 2 of the more important areas that I could really plan around here. Alright, I'm here in the deep catacombs of my world, bonus points to anyone who actually knows where this is in my world. But I have set up one of the beacons, in which case anyone who doesn't know where this is the first project I've ever had in this world, which is long abandoned. Like, oh boy. It's kind of sad how abandoned this place is, but now I am using it to set up a beacon, in which case this glass here goes into the mob farm, and theoretically when I put a beacon in here, I believe a beacon runs through any non-full blocks. I believe. I haven't tested that, but I believe, if I remember correctly. So, every single block leading from here all the way to the sun is a non-solid block. I think. I built this base, particularly this mob farm, probably over 100 episodes now, so this is me guessing at this point, but I believe this should be correct. So, once I put the beacon here, I actually can go and test that. So, the next thing I need to go do is actually go and grab a beacon, but that is going to be a little bit long for this episode, because, oh boy, this has been a long episode, actually, surprisingly, but hopefully I can get right back to finishing up this project next time I see you guys. So, I'm just going to go clean up a couple of things, probably go kill a couple more withers so I can get all of the proper resources for that, because I'm so close to being able to get all of the hard-to-get resources for it. Next up is the one resource I just have to wait for and farm, and then after that is just setting the whole thing up, in which case I want to set this whole thing up, because having speed would be, okay, I ran past my exit at some point, and now I'm getting paranoid. But, either way, guys, oh, here it is. Either way, guys, that's probably going to be it for today's episode. I hope you did enjoy. If you guys have anything you want to see me work here on in the future, if you have any solutions for stuff I proposed here in this episode, because I have a couple of ideas, but I want to hear what you guys have to think, because it's always more heads is typically better than one. So either way, guys, that's probably going to be doing it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope we can see you guys here in the next one. So, and see you guys. Bye. Oh, it's night.